I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, it's so good to really talk about and address like the elephant in the room kind of thing because there's so much anxiety over shipping.
Yeah.
And so I know, so Mariko, in case anybody haven't, looked on our feeds and everything else, she is the owner of Isla Collective, and she's a local champion and a partner of mine to bring a virtual market in this crazy time. And right now we've got over how many vendors now on board?
Yeah, well over 50 are live right now, over 700 items. So
Wow,
pretty
wow. And they're
wild.
being added. Yes, and they're
Yeah.
being like more things are being added, more vendors are coming on because
Yeah.
this is a very strange time. Like everyone's kind of confused right now. They're like, "Oh, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to get online." And for
Yeah.
people who has never gotten online, right? It's very tough. So,
Yeah, there's a lot of logistical things to figure out, and it can be overwhelming and, scary, and people are unsure. And that's sort of where I come in, and hopefully I can alleviate some reservations and some stress from folks and make the online selling process easy as it can be. And
yeah.
yeah, and thanks for chatting with us about shipping today, because this is obviously something that I chat about with vendors all the time. And you know that because, of course, you work so closely with hundreds of small businesses, but you're also a maker. So you have it from both sides. And yeah, and as we both know, you and I at least, whenever I have questions about logistics, shipping, how to handle sort of small business questions, you're my go-to resource, and I appreciate your time so much. I super appreciate that you would put this live together. This is awesome. And yeah, I look forward to answering some questions.
For sure. And it's for me, I think it is a very important topic. It's something I'm very passionate about. And you know that I'm an introvert. I'm
Yep.
more so of an introvert. You say
Yeah.
it's a very good point. You say I'm outgoing, but I'm an introvert. Like
Yeah.
it's so true of me. But like you bring out that other side, my Gemini in me, like that outgoing side in me to really talk about something that I'm passionate about, and I'm very happy to do it. So,
Yeah. Great. Yeah. So I guess this whole chat started with a conversation that I had with a vendor this week that I talked with you about the other day. And the question that this vendor was posing, I thought was very interesting and something that might resonate with a bunch of small businesses. So thank you for answering these questions. So these questions were posed to me, and I'm posing them now to you, and to
woo,
get your insight on it. So the conversation I was having with one of the vendors here in Vancouver Island recently was about onboarding to an e-commerce website situation, online selling, if it was a good fit, if the collective was a good fit or not, if online selling was a good fit or not. And by the end of the conversation, the hesitations that I heard really revolved around shipping, which, as
mhm.
you know, is such a big logistical thing to consider. And, her question was, will my buyers be able to afford the price point of my items now that those items are including shipping fees? And I would love to hear how you would handle that with a small business owner.
And so I had to bring myself back to when I first started my business. And so last night I was kind of thinking about it. I'm like, okay, shipping anxiety is real. It's a real thing. Like as soon as I thought about it, it brought me right back to the time when I first started.
Yeah.
And so there really is three key things, three factors that kind of bring up this type of anxiety. And that very first thing is, you're coming up with this question, which is a very common question, is that we have the idea that shipping is expensive right away. And just having that idea alone just kills the business, kills the process.
Mm-hmm.
It's because right away we personally believe that nobody's going to buy my item because shipping is too expensive.
Mm-hmm.
You decided that already for yourself, and
Right.
so you're going to believe what you say to yourself, right?
For sure.
So and so the question isn't, or like, so how are we going to do this, and you know, the vendor asked something that I was asking myself, and I went through exactly that. Was that I'm like, oh my gosh, nobody's going to be paying for, you know, $12, $15 for my item because, or for shipping or whatnot, because it's just too expensive, you know. But is that really true?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because there's ways around it, and eventually, you know, and we're going to talk more about this later on with, you know, show notes, business, like all the resources that we're going to come up with, because
Mm-hmm.
there's a huge list of things that you can do to overcome that, when it comes to shipping and expenses, right?
Yeah.
And I have a newsletter actually over with Etchy Things, my other business, that talk about these kind of anxieties.
Mm-hmm.
And so, super, super common question, but it is the very first thing that you will kill your own business by thinking that the idea is shipping is expensive,
Mm-hmm.
period.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about that too, right? And I did a Facebook story and I did an Instagram story about it, right? About the concern, about that exact concern, right? And the question being, will my buyers pay for this? And, you know, the way I answered that is, yeah, of course they will. They're already telling you they will because they're already buying online. And, you know, Canada Post isn't giving your competition free shipping. They're just not. So, you know, you need to understand, yeah, that the shipping is part of the overhead, like materials are, like your time is, like anything is. And you're right, once you can sort of separate the idea that shipping is this scary, you know, insurmountable overhead that other folks maybe don't have on their plate, then I think, yeah, you're right, that takes a whole lot of anxiety and stress out of it, because we're all paying it. You know, the buyers are
Yep.
paying for it, and the makers are shipping the items, and Canada Post is getting their package rates. I mean, they just are. So yeah, that's a good one for sure to get over that.
It's your own personal belief. So that is the number one, like the very first thing, the idea that it is expensive. So you got to rid of
Yeah.
that first. Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you say, right? Because I mean, my conversation with that vendor sort of ended in a bit of a stalemate, right? A bit of a sort of, no, it's too expensive. I can't do it. I'll stick with what I've got going on right now. What would you say to somebody who's wondering about whether or not they're ready to sell online?
Oh, okay. So then I thought about the other two things, right? That occurred to me, and it's totally real. The second thing that comes up is that we procrastinate on the fact that we have to do the measurement, put it on a scale,
Mm-hmm.
do the packaging, all of those things. It is a burden, right? So like
Yeah.
we're like, okay, because I'm like, if we're very used to doing craft market, physical market, you know, and this happens a lot too, is the setup process, right? It
Right.
used to be, how am I going to set up my booth? It's this size. Oh my gosh, like, how do I mount it up? How do I make it look good? You know,
Yeah.
I need to figure out the tablecloth, everything, right? That used to be the biggest question. That's packaging, okay?
Yeah.
So now you bring it to an online forum, and now you have to think about um, the packaging before you take it over to ship. You
Mm-hmm.
now have to think about how you're going to, like, you know, measure the size of the box, how much it weighs, because
Mm-hmm.
as you know, I think you kind of dealt with that one time with the little slot. If it goes over 2 centimeters, you got to pay the parcel rate instead
Yeah.
of the letter mail rate.
Yeah.
um, all of those things. So Brene Brown calls it, hope there's no kids here, they call it fucking first time. Okay, it is your fucking first time doing it. It is awkward.
Right.
It is something that you just want to make an excuse to say, I don't want to do it. And
Mm-hmm.
so a lot of the times when vendors are asking these questions, it isn't because shipping can't work. It's just that they are going through their fucking first time, their FFS right now, and that they feel like this anxiety about doing it is it's not going to happen. You
Right.
know, I can't do it, and I did that for myself. Like I went through it probably for a month, going, oh my gosh, right? Because I have stamps, right? I'm like, it's not going to fit in my little slot there. You know, if I had my piece of rubber stamp and just had this piece here, I can slip it through and just pay the cheaper rate. But
Right.
this would be another rate. And then if I put it into amount, it's going to be parcel rate. So I was going through this anxiety for myself, and I believe that the idea shipping is too expensive, and I just can't do it. So it's my FFS time, and
Right.
so it isn't really about that it isn't going to work. And
Yeah.
like what I would say really is to find out the source of the problem. Like, is it because they're having trouble figuring out the shipping?
Hmm.
Again, in my newsletter, I talked a little bit about that. Like we just have to, we come up with things like and I call it, you know, the save on domestic um, little mailing sizer thing that you can use. We have tools that I sell to help you alleviate that stress, because
Yeah.
I went through that same stress,
Yeah.
and I have a lot of customers that would kind of go, oh my gosh, like I have that same problem. This will save me the anxiety of going to the post office
Yeah.
and not knowing whether I'm going to pay this rate or another rate, because
For sure.
knowing your rates and then calculating how much you need to charge is very important.
Yeah, that's right. Colleen, I have tons of answers for you on that. Can you and I chat a little bit later? I have some ideas, so I'll DM you in a little bit, and maybe we can set up a phone call or something, because that's a lot of questions and a lot of answers and a lot of resources for you on that. Um, Sorry, I just, yeah. Just a little distracted with the
And
system.
this is our fucking first time ourselves, so we're gonna be very awkward, and we're gonna like can't really see all the questions all at once, and we like get totally distracted. So we apologize if we can't answer your question right away. We will answer those questions for you. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
yeah. I'll definitely write you a message and we'll chat. Okay, so that's great. So I guess what's the one takeaway at the end of the day, the one takeaway for small makers in particular, people who may be new to shipping, people who are maybe in a position where their traditional sales channels aren't up and running right now, maybe they're used to doing physical markets exclusively. What would you say to somebody who wants to continue to be in business and wants to know what the next step is or how to get over their shipping anxiety? What's their takeaway?
Mm-hmm. So before I tell you the one takeaway, the third thing that it comes up for shipping anxiety is
Hmm.
that we undervalue ourselves.
Right.
So the third thing that I remember recalling doing to myself when
Hmm.
I first started shipping was that I told myself, and I believed that I had to lower my prices and pretty much give away my item and my
Right.
product in order for someone to buy from me. And so that's also a limiting belief, a belief that, you know, I'm not of value. And it's
Hmm.
so hard for a maker to, you know, to sustain their business if they undervalue themselves.
Yeah.
And so that really, really does suck a lot. You know, in
Yeah.
that time when I was going through that, thinking that, oh, I have to lower my prices, otherwise I can't sell my items. People come to you because they love you, they love your product, they love what you stand for. Sorry, it's my light again. I
Awesome.
told them 15 minutes, right? So yeah, so it's crazy how we undervalue ourselves.
Yeah.
And once we get through those three things, right? The idea that is very expensive, two, that that we overcome the anxiety of doing the measurement, doing the
Hmm.
work, right?
Yeah.
And then three, under stop undervaluing yourself.
Yeah.
We come to the conclusion, the one thing is your mindset, right?
Right.
So mindset of changing the way you feel about shipping,
Hmm.
because it's going to happen one way or another. And we have resources, we have creative ways. Of one of the ways that you've seen already is that um, um, some of the vendors are shipping. They're actually doing the free shipping and coming to your house. They're just
Yeah.
taking the products to you, right?
Yeah.
That's one clear way that you can definitely help, right, within your
Yeah.
area.
Absolutely.
Simple,
Yeah.
simple. So there are creative ways, but we have to understand once and for all, change your mindset,
Hmm.
okay? And then move forward and relax, and get rid of that anxiety, because it is a real thing. We can't not acknowledge it, right? We have to acknowledge that we have those things. But if you remove yourself out of those anxieties and those limiting beliefs, um, we can move forward with our business. And I've been in my doing etchy things now coming up to 10 years, and I'm still shipping every single week.
For
So
sure. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the thing, right? Is like, and I mean, it's human nature. We do it with everything. It's not just shipping. Is that there's some
yep,
things that you just have to do. I remember for me, I used to never drink water ever. I didn't like it. I didn't want to do it. And
yep.
I met with my naturopath, and she said, how many ounces of water are you drinking a day? And I was like, does coffee count? Like, I don't know, not very many. And she's like, listen, there's certain things, yeah, there's certain things that, you can get away with putting off, and, whether or not it's good or bad for you, it is what it is. But I mean, drinking water is kind of one of those things, like, is it worth putting it off? Like, do you hate it that much? It's so good for you. Like, it's just drink your
So
water.
good.
And it's the same thing
we're
with
we're
shipping,
made
right?
Yeah,
Is
we're
like,
made up of water,
yeah,
and yeah,
yeah, you need it. I mean, you just need it. It's literally good for everything about you. So you might as well just do it. And, same with shipping. If you want to be in business right now, unfortunately, or fortunately, that's sort of the way that everything is going right now. And the new normal is definitely here, at least for a little while. And I am an extrovert and cannot wait for the day that they let me out of this house. But, that's sort of a fact of the matter. And everybody is doing it. And we really all need to be doing it. So yeah, there's no point in beating yourself up about it or stressing out about things that haven't happened yet, or putting off the inevitable measuring and weighing process. That's really interesting to me. That makes a ton of sense. Is, yeah, maybe just like plan a day and get all your measurements and all your weights done. Have a pot of coffee or whatever it is, and just do it. Um, yeah, that's
it's
amazing.
it's it's really it's really because we haven't done it. It's our fucking first time.
Yeah,
And so you come up with all sorts of stories for ourselves that
yeah,
it's not going to work, it's not going to work,
yeah,
right? It's too expensive, it's not going to work, I need to
mhm,
undervalue myself. And you
yeah,
keep going and going and going for that same that same negative talk,
yeah,
right? And it's so bad for business, right? If
hmm,
you are in it for the long haul, right? If you're in it to want to make stuff that you love, you got to figure it out, right? Change that mindset. We can do this together. I love working with people for this reason alone, because once you get going, once you begin to think through it all, and share that anxiety, or acknowledge what's in front of us, that we all do it. We all don't want to drink that glass of water or
yeah,
whatever, right? Like, we will get through this together. And
yeah,
that's why, like, in the silver lining of 2020 is that I get to reinvent myself. I get to rethink what I love about my business.
yeah,
Love the work that you do every
mhm,
single day,
yeah,
despite how much we have to pivot or change or whatever. We're here for everyone, and we can do it together. And it's way more fun to do it together. So
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Well, you and I are both collaborators.
yep,
So,
exactly.
yeah,
So
anybody who
before we
needs
go,
anything.
I want to talk. So tell everyone, because I have people asking me as well. Talk
Mhm.
about Isla Collective, like stuff are online already. Some people are
Mhm.
asking some frequently asked questions on my end as well. It's like, is
Yeah.
this going to be ongoing?
Yeah.
So, you have it from November 13th to certain time. Like how does it all work? Let's talk
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, so the Isla Collective website is an e-commerce platform that features only Vancouver Island artisans, crafters, and designers. So it's a really cool group of incredible Vancouver Island small businesses. So that's sort of the elevator pitch of Isla Collective. If you are a Vancouver Island maker and you're making, designing, or inspired by Vancouver Island, you are more than welcome to join us. It's completely free to join. There is a commission, of course, taken when an item sells, but there are no upfront fees or monthly charges or anything like that. The only hitch is that you have to be from Vancouver Island and making a product. So that's the Isla Collective project. Now, Isla Collective throughout the year is putting on Facebook markets, which have become quite popular since COVID. And everybody has been sort of looking for new ways to get their story and their products to the buyers who aren't necessarily able to attend those live markets and live shops. So the Christmas market that we have coming up with Vancouver Island Market is an offshoot of that sort of Facebook market idea with the real feel of Vancouver Island Market, which is a very hyper local, handmade, artisanal quality, right? So it's a new new normal thing. Definitely, I think was outside of your comfort zone and outside of my comfort zone, and certainly would therefore be outside of the comfort zone of our incredible vendors, and yet they have just taken it to the next level. And you can see those items online live right now. The market itself, which is a Facebook event, a free Facebook event, will start on Friday and run for a week and 3 days. But the items are online live right now, and the Facebook event is sort of, it's just extra marketing, extra incentive for folks to peruse and buy. We already are seeing quite a significant increase in views, in traffic on the website, which will translate to sales, especially during market days. So we're quite excited about that. It's just another initiative that we run through the Isla Collective and in partnership with Vancouver Island Market. So yes,
Awesome.
it will all be running aftermarket. It is all running right now. And if you're a Vancouver Island vendor and you want to join us, absolutely do that. You can email me or visit the website. So the website is www.ilacollective.ca. It's ISLA. Or you can email me at info@ilacollective.ca or DM me. You could
Yep.
always DM me.
Many different avenues. You can also just go from the Instagram, the link in bio from my side too, and I link it over to Isla Collective as well. So there's no way you can miss going to Isla
Yeah.
Collective. So Vancouver Island Market always links back and just
Yeah.
will lead you over to where you need to be. Mariko is an extrovert, so she's happy to talk about anything and everything with you at
All the
any point in
time.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think this is like just wonderful being able to, have an extra source of income or income stream kind of thing for vendors.
Yeah.
Vendors can still be going to like a farmer's market. They can still have their own website. They can still do all of the other things, right? But this helps you know, to prove to the world that you exist in this, like on the World Wide Web, that you're not just like a fake account of sorts, that kind of thing, right? Because
Yeah.
because
We
Mariko
definitely.
will.
Sorry,
Sorry.
go ahead.
Yeah, because because you will vet them in, I will vet them in, right? The beautiful thing, like we're all small business owners. We do happy dances when we
Yeah.
hear the cha-ching bell and we make a sale, right? Like other big box stores don't do that.
No.
And so we love that people who are following us and doing their part to support local um, really sees this whole vision. And like I was almost in tears. I have to tell you one story. I was almost in tears when one of the shoppers came to me asking if another vendor is with the market, with the virtual market. And I guess the particular maker isn't a part of it right now. She might be coming through soon. But and so I told the shopper, I go, well, did you try looking her up on
Mhm.
the website, on her own website or somewhere else, right? And she goes, oh, I know I can find her, but I wanted to support you guys, right? And I just like it just made my day
Mhm.
because you know she sees us all doing certain things like we're marketing, we're helping, right?
Yeah.
Because vendors are great at making stuff, they might not necessarily like doing the marketing piece. You're here as an extrovert to like showcase stuff, right? And for me, like I'm a creative, so I'm all over the place. So I
Mhm.
love doing my etchy thing stuff, and I love getting in touch with vendors that way. But I also really love connecting with people through Vancouver Island Market.
Mhm.
And so it's just hearing that story to really, really touch me. So if you're listening right now, if you know who you are, I just want to say thank you so much for supporting us. Like it just means the world to us that
Yeah,
you see
it
us.
definitely it goes without saying for you and I because we know who they are, but it is worth mentioning that even though you and I get to see the most incredible Vancouver Island vendors all the time, and those relationships are ongoing, our buyers are incredible too. Like they're
Mm-hmm.
just amazing. These are folks who, I talk a lot about that on Facebook, right? About what your investment is as a buyer. How far do you want to see your investment go? And these are folks who have deliberately made the decision to invest their time, energy, their money into small makers. And that relationship is not taken lightly by you, by me, and by any of our vendors. All of our vendors do happy dances when they make a sale. That is just such an amazing feeling to give somebody. And yeah, thank you to all of our buyers for sure.
Yep. And we're still doing it. Shop for Happy Dance. So if you
Yeah.
guys want to send us your Happy Dance, it's so fun. Like we
Yeah.
love seeing them. Please keep sending it to us.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add, Mariko?
No, I don't think so. I think that covers the first little bit. And then I think you and I get back together and here shortly and talk about some real practical solutions for some of the logistical questions that we get, which is a whole other topic for a whole other day that I'm sure you and I could talk about at length forever and ever.
For
But
sure.
yeah, let's get some resources together and offer some solutions and come back here next time and figure some stuff out.
Yes, and we'll address any of the questions that you guys left for us. And this is our FFS time. So thank you for sharing this time with us, and we will connect again. Please go ahead and start shopping. Start letting us know maybe what you want to see, and we're here for you. And we're apart, but we're doing this together. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Awesome. Great. Well, it was nice chatting with you.
All right.
Okay, I'll catch
Bye,
up with you later.
everyone. Okay.